Now, when it comes to West Bengal polling and West Bengal, pace of polling, I have expressed serious doubts about it. Assuming that there is no downtime, is it possible for a booth to have a voter casting his or her vote every 53 seconds? Is it possible? This is number one. If anybody thinks that
So you actually found that the voters in Bengal were casting votes every 53 seconds? At least that's what the picture looked like?
That's
okay. You are saying that where did these extra votes come from? Extra votes or faster voting process which was seen. Now, how did this happen? Now, was the machine tampered? Was a machine programmed to do this? Or was it some outside force? God knows what was it? How do we see that? How does one explain this?
I think the Election Commission will have to be open to this challenge. Either they should say, look, Parakala, Neelu, you don't know. It is possible to have a person cast their vote in 39 seconds. We'll show you that. And, like the Charlie Chaplin movies, people can, just go out and come out. And at the same pace throughout for 10 hours without any downtime.
So was this Bengal election, I'm just going to use the word what you said, like a Charlie Chaplin film. So was Bengal election result almost like a Charlie Chaplin film? At least the figures what you are quoting?
It looks like that, otherwise, how is it possible at all?
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Of the 4 states and 1 union territory that went to the polls in April this year, the outcome of West Bengal's results evoked the maximum interest and controversy. The ruling party at the center put in every possible effort it could into its electioneering. The Prime Minister himself addressed 18 election rallies in the state. He even stopped by a jhalmuri shop to buy a packet of the snack. Now, the Union Home Minister struck camp there for nearly 2 weeks and addressed about 50 rallies. In addition, several NDA chief ministers and union ministers stormed the state, as it did scores of MPs, MLAs, and party and government leaders from other states, and everyone vigorously campaigned in Bengal. Now, if this was an unprecedented concentration of effort by the BJP and its allies, the deployment of central government machinery like the enforcement agencies as well as the paramilitary forces was no less forceful and visible in their presence and activity. But since the time the Bengal election results have come, people have been trying to decipher the results as to how BJP could win such a huge majority, or rather, if you put the question the other way, how could Mamata Banerjee lose this election, losing to the extent that she lost in her own constituency? So we'll try and discuss, or rather deconstruct, the Bengal election results. And joining me this evening is Parakala Prabhakar, author, columnist, political analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And you wrote an article in Hindu, and since the time the election results came, I've been thinking of talking to you about how we unravel the myth behind the Bengal election results. People have been saying it was rigging. Mamata Banerjee went to the extent of saying that in at least 100 constituencies, the poll was rigged very badly. And she said she will go to the Supreme Court. She also made a statement saying that she will go to the International Court of Justice. Do you think that this election was really, really stolen?
Neelu, thank you very much for having me once again. I think your introduction very clearly said what the issues are. There's a lot of concentration by the ruling BJP NDA. And of course, a huge deployment of their own party leaders as well as the government agencies. It's very obvious. In fact, a lot of police stations were also taken over by the paramilitary central forces. But you see, I mean, I desist from looking at this as a question of who won and who lost, and on that basis, I do not want to do the analysis. In this, as well as in anything, as you know, I'm winner loser agnostic. I'm only trying to find out whether our electoral process has its desired integrity or not. This is the main thing. Now, when it comes to West Bengal polling and West Bengal, pace of polling, I have expressed serious doubts about it, because you see, in any election, there is a process of. I mean, I'm not bringing in the voter deletions and people being prevented from coming to the voters' booth and polling it. That aside, but just that you have entered the booth, you must have voted for many number of times. I voted a number of times. Is it conceivable for you that in a polling booth there's absolutely no downtime at all, either machine or personnel? Is it that on a polling day for 10 hours, that is 60 minutes per hour, that is 600 minutes. In 600 minutes or 600 minutes, that you have absolutely no downtime at all, that it is so super efficient that anybody who goes in and comes out and continuously so many people are polling. That's not possible. There are people, old people who take a little more time, young people who can take a little less time, and there are of course tea breaks, coffee breaks. Because they say there are only 5 election commission personnel inside the booth. And they might go for a nature call, they might come back and sit down, and then there might be a little problem with the EVM. It has to be changed or reset. There are so many things, that machine as well as the personnel. Now, in that situation, let us assume that there is no downtime at all. When there is no downtime at all, it's an assumption, and it is not practical. Assuming that there is no downtime, is it possible for a booth to have a voter casting his or her vote every 53 seconds? Is it possible? This is number one. If anybody thinks that
So you actually found that the voters in Bengal were casting votes every 53 seconds? At least that's what the picture looked like?
That's okay. So roughly 54 seconds, 53.7 seconds. So let's say 54 seconds. But that's the average number. Now, that 54 seconds would hide in its average 39 seconds or even 202 seconds. Because you see, Election Commission reports, the CEO has to report by convention, by rule, that every 2 hours, what is the polling? 7 to 9, 9 to 11, 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and 5, and after that, whatever is the ending time. If you break down, I told you about 57 seconds on the whole, but if you break down, Neelu, you will have, if you want me to, give you an idea of how many seconds in each phase, in each of these time parcels, 7 to 9, 9 to 11, etc., the time taken by the voters. Now, in phase 1, Neelu, 7 to 9, it took only 42.2 seconds per voter to cast their vote. 42.2 seconds.
42.2, okay.
9 to 11.
So that means that one voter took about 42.2 seconds to cast his or her vote in the phase 1. Okay.
Yeah. Phase 1? No, between 7 and 9.
Between 7 and 9, yeah, right.
Between 9 and 11, it was 39.7 seconds only.
Okay.
Between 11 and 1, it took 42 seconds.
Okay.
Between 1 and 3, it is 53 seconds. And then comes 3 to 5 and 5 to end of the code. This is reasonable, this is real world. Between 3 and 5, a voter took 80 seconds to cast the vote.
Okay.
And between 5 and closing time, the voter took 140 seconds to cast the vote. Now, leave 3 and 5 and closing time. I want you to pay your attention to 7 to 9, 9 to 11, 11 to 1, and 1 to 3. That is between 7 and 3 o'clock. Now, you have 39 seconds, 42 seconds, 53 seconds. Is it possible to do that? Now, what does it involve? This is phase 1. Now, phase 2 is also very interesting. Very similar pattern. Phase 2. Phase 2, 7 to 9, 50 seconds. 9 to 11, 42 seconds. 11 to 1, 42 seconds again. 1 to 3, 52 seconds. And then comes the real world time. 3 to 5, 81 seconds. And 5 to closing time, it is 272 seconds. Now, I just told you this, don't get confused, because you see.
What is the formula? If I may just interrupt you, because here we are talking about figures. How do you arrive at this conclusion, or rather, how would you calculate that how much time a voter takes to cast his vote? Like a voter enters into the polling booth, then he goes, gets his fingers imprinted, shows his documents, walks up to the polling machine, the voting machine.
Gets the
sorry.
Gets the mark.
Yes.
Finger marked.
Right. So finger marked, then casts the vote, check it there, and then come out.
Then there's a downtime of 7 seconds, and then come out. And
right.
How did I come to this conclusion that, in 7 to 9, this much time was taken? 9 to 11, this much time was taken. Now, when the reporting is done, from 7 to 9, they'll give you this much percentage of polling happened. So, if you know the total polling percentage at the end of the day, then you calculate it backwards. Of that, if it is 18%, they said, then 18% you can calculate how many votes are there. In 2 hours, that is 60, 120 minutes. If you divide the total number of votes polled by 120, then you'll get how many seconds it took per vote. So that is the method by which I calculated how many votes were polled, how many seconds were taken to poll a vote between 7 and 9, 9 and 11, 11 and 1, 1 and 3, etc., in phase 1 and phase 2. Now, these are the numbers that I've arrived at. And was
there a particular formula? Was there a particular formula which helped you arrive at this downtime? How do you calculate that? That's a big question.
The downtime normally, you see, now what happens is, there are certain things
and also, I would want you to explain, sir, since we are explaining it to the viewers, let's explain what the downtime is. What is it? How do you calculate? And how do the viewers understand that?
Now, what is the time taken for a vote to be cast actually? First of all, let's see. Now, somebody enters from the queue into the room. Let's say it takes 5 to 10 seconds, and then show the identification, and both the polling party agents as well as the polling personnel will check. That will take about 20-25 seconds or 30 seconds sometimes. Then the polling personnel will have to record that Neelu Vyas has entered. That is called Form 17A. So they'll have to fill it up. That takes about 20 seconds or so. And then what happens is that they take Neelu Vyas' signature or thumb impression. That takes at least about 10 seconds. And then the ink is marked. That would take at least 5 to 8 seconds. And then the slip is given. And then that takes about 8 seconds or so. Then the polling officer there, the presiding officer, activates the control unit. That takes about 5 to 8 seconds. And then you go into the compartment. That takes about another 15, 20 seconds. And then you press, and it takes about 7 seconds to reset, and you have to exit the thing and make the compartment ready for the next. So all this takes time. That is. The second thing is that personnel will have about a tea or water break throughout the day, at least 15 to 20 minutes altogether. Then you have lunch rotation. You'll have to have lunch, or that's about 15 to 30 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes at least, even if you have a quick guest. Then you have a little toilet breaks here and there, maybe another 10 minutes or so. Then you have, see, your efficiency as the day goes on, your efficiency comes down a bit, at least. That takes away the efficiency by about another 15 to 20 minutes or so. And then you have, the CEO of West Bengal had himself gave a notification saying that there are about lakh and 20,000 elderly voters above 50. And among them, more than about 60,000 or so are more than 60 years. So these people take a little longer than you and I do, or you do at least. And then sometimes party agents say, no, Neelu Vyas thing is not here, and some little disputes here. And then sometimes the presiding officer intervenes to settle that. That takes away at least 10 to 20 or 30 minutes or so in the entire day. So you have at least about an hour and a half eaten up by this kind of a thing. This is downtime. Now, then you have the machine downtime. Machine downtime, sometimes the mock poll itself spills over for another 5 minutes or so. Sometimes the EVMs create some problems. Then it has to be replaced. Then either some dispute, some law and order situation or something like that, then there is a problem. Then the queue, there might be some disruption. And maybe the candidate enters, and at least another 5 to 10 minutes is taken, because every candidate has a right to come and inspect and then go. At that time, the polling is paused. All these things also take. See, this is downtime. And if this downtime is, can you bring this downtime to zero? If you bring this downtime to zero, even then, only then can a vote be cast at the rate of 39 seconds a vote. Okay. Now, if that increases to 60 seconds, then if it increases to, say, 70 seconds or 75 seconds, so anything which is less than 54 seconds, because the average booth polling is about 738 votes. It could be less, little somewhere, it could be more somewhere. But on average, the entire state, it is 738. If that you take the figure, then you see, if it is anywhere less than 54 seconds, you cannot poll 738. You could have only polled, say, about 600, and it is slightly more than it is even 540, 550. So where did this 738 come from? How did they come from? How did they come, and where did they come from?
So what does it look like? I'm trying to just understand, and just picking from what you are explaining, you are saying that where did these extra votes come from? Extra votes or faster voting process which was seen. Now, how did this happen? Now, was the machine tampered? Was the machine programmed to do this? Or was it some outside force? God knows what was it? How do we see that? How does one explain this?
Neelu, I want you to imagine once, before we go into that question, I want you to imagine, and I want your viewers also to imagine. we have all voted. Now, just recall how much time did you take to enter the booth and do all these things that I've said and come out? Just imagine. That's recall. That's one. Secondly, also try to imagine if you leave a fly into the polling booth. For the fly to enter the polling booth and just fly around and come out, how long does it take? Can the fly come out in 30 seconds, 31 seconds, 35 seconds, 39 seconds? Can it? Just to fly around and come, not doing, showing your identity, getting your sub-marked, signing it, getting the slip.
Can't come out in 30 seconds, surely.
So that is the pace of voting that has happened in West Bengal. Now, you asked me, how did this happen? I don't know. We have to find out. I think the Election Commission will have to be open to this challenge. Either they should say, look, Parakala, Neelu, you don't know. It is possible to have a person cast their vote in 39 seconds. We'll show you that. And, like the Charlie Chaplin movies, people can, just go out and come out. And at the same pace throughout for 10 hours, without any downtime.
So was this Bengal election, I'm just going to use the word what you said, like a Charlie Chaplin film. So was Bengal election result almost like a Charlie Chaplin film? At least the figures what you are quoting?
It looks like that, otherwise, how is it possible at all to have it for 53.7 seconds without downtime? And that is the average. As I said, there are patches of time or in which
On average, you're saying 54 seconds. 54 seconds a person takes to finish the voting process and come out.
54 seconds per vote. That is average. But within that 54 seconds, certain parcels of time, you had 42, you had 39 seconds also. How is it possible for anybody to cast a vote in 39 seconds? You show me. Now, when you can't show me that somebody can indeed cast their vote in 39 seconds, or 40 seconds, or 42 seconds, or 50 seconds, or 51 seconds, then you'll have to be open to be inquired. How did this happen? This is the challenge. That the Election Commission will have to face this challenge.
So have you written to the Election Commission? Have you written to them with your explanation, what you are telling me? Have you written to them?
Well, you see, when I did this kind of deep dive into the Andhra Pradesh result, we have discussed about that. So I wrote, and I waited for 15 days. There was no response at all. And after waiting for 15 days, did I write to the media? Now, you want me to do the same thing now? I didn't do that. I didn't write to the Election Commission at all, because this is a repeat. It's not the first time. First time when I found this out in Andhra Pradesh case, I restrained myself. I didn't go public. I waited for 15 days.
In the Andhra Pradesh case, I remember when we were doing the interview, you said that even at 2 in the night, it seemed the whole entire program looked like as if people were voting at 2 in the night.
Now, because you and I pointed that out, I think the Election Commission probably learned a lesson. Okay, let's not do it till 2 o'clock. Let's do it within 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
Otherwise, see, imagine, in West Bengal, what happened in phase 1, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 68% vote was cast. From 7 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, 68.12% votes were cast, which gross number of votes, if you divide by the time, it comes to 85 votes per minute. That is 85 votes per 60 seconds. It comes to about 1.4 or 1.5 votes per minute. Is that possible? That comes to about 42 seconds a vote. Is that possible? That is what has happened.
No, but in Bengal clincher, of course, there are comparisons between what you saw in Andhra Pradesh. But in Bengal, what is the clincher? What is that point where you really felt that things have horribly gone wrong? What is that one thing? Was it the pace of voting which really stood out in Bengal, like what you're saying, that on an average people were voting every 54 seconds?
Yeah, average. That's the overall average. But there are parcels of time where the voters have voted. Per vote, it took only 42 seconds, 39 seconds. That's very questionable, isn't it? So what struck me was that this is very odd. In addition to...
No, but according to your calculation, how much time did the voters take to finish voting in Bengal on an average?
54 seconds.
54 seconds. And that you're saying is very, very shocking because that's not possible.
Because it can't be done below 60 plus seconds. It's just not possible to do. You see, you have an international comparison. I can give you the international comparison.
No, but the Election Commission can always say that, no, how did you calculate? Your calculation is wrong, like they always defy and deny everything.
Okay. But I told you my basis of calculation. For instance, from 7 to 9, the Election Commission announces that 18% votes were cast. Okay. Now, what is 18% of the total votes cast? You have a figure. And that figure divided by 120 minutes, because it's a 2-hour window. So then it comes to, 42 seconds or 39 seconds or 52 seconds or 52 seconds or 59 seconds. That's a simple formula. Let them deny it. Let them say that, more votes were cast. Okay. Now,
but when you were doing this calculation, Parakala sir, then what came to your mind? I mean, when you're calculating, and the formula is very, very simple. Anybody can do it. That there is a 2-hour window, you divide by 120 and the number of votes cast, which is already there on your list. You can do a simple calculation and find out. But you are saying that since it is humanly not possible, what could have happened? What has come to your mind? What do you suspect? Do you suspect a machine tampering? Do you suspect some sort of a devilish program, which is there inside the machines? I don't know. I mean, how does one assess that? A common man would not go and calculate like what you have done, but they will try to assess that what has gone wrong. What is that?
No, don't throw the ball into my court, Neelu. I just want the country to think about this. How is it possible that in West Bengal, a vote was cast in 39 seconds in certain parcels of time? And how is it possible in West Bengal that a vote was cast in 42 seconds, in 52 seconds, in 50 seconds? How is it possible? Just throw it open. And that's what I'm asking people to imagine yourself. You went to polling booths. Imagine. And I also explained the stages. I also explained the reasons for downtime. Now, is it possible for a state to not have any downtime at all? It is, almost like an industrial scale where there's a conveyor belt and super efficiently people are just, going on a conveyor belt and, doing all this and coming out. Is that possible at all? Did you do that? Otherwise, how do you explain to me that it took only 39 seconds to cast a vote? And then, if you ask me, what could have happened? I'm not hazarding any guess. It is for the Election Commission of India to say, yes, it is possible. We can demonstrate. Number one. Then, experts like you will have to tell me how it is possible to do it. If it is not manually done, is it manually done? I don't know. It is not.
No, but since you said that you didn't write this time to the Election Commission, so again, if you don't write, then of course they will say that nobody came with a complaint. So why should we answer?
Oh, yes. But did they answer my Andhra Pradesh question?
They haven't.
Yeah. So you wondered. And then everybody said, why are you coming now? Why didn't you come earlier? So that's the reason why I came early. Because I didn't want to wait and waste time. And then again being asked, oh, you should have come yesterday. Why are you coming today? You should have come 1 week ago. Why you should have come one... See, my...
today is just 22nd of May, and 4th May was the day when the results came. So not much time has passed.
18 days. Yeah. But another
18
thing,
days.
another important thing is that, when you raise this, you can tell me not to raise this after a certain amount of time, only when I'm asking you to cancel the elections or change the results or do another counting. I'm not asking anything. I'm just asking you to only explain. Please explain to me how is it possible to cast a vote in 39 seconds. That's all. So that doesn't have a time bar, does it? My prayer is only for an explanation. My prayer is not to cancel the election. My prayer is not to declare the runner-up as winner. That's not my plea.
But what should be? Of course, it's up to the election commission whether they want to explain the case or not, whether they will do it or not. That's also a big question. But whenever we come up with programs like these, they will start dismissing us as the doubting Thomases who keep doubting, who keep questioning the system. And look what Chief Justice of India himself said, that they are parasitic in nature, they are cockroaches who are questioning the system all the time. But here you've given an important data. How does one read that? And what is the message goes out after people see this interview?
Yeah. I think they should start asking questions, and let there be more and more cockroaches in the country. Why not? If asking
So you are
questions,
saying that after your interview is published and after your interview is seen by the people, it's the people now who should start writing to the election commission asking questions.
Bengal, Neelu, is one of the most politically conscious states. So if Bengal doesn't ask questions, who will ask questions? They should ask.
No, but will they have the courage to do it? Looking at the brute majority, the opposition is almost incapacitated. I haven't seen Mamata Banerjee hitting the streets in the last so many days and the weeks since the time the election results have come.
I'm addressing this question to the people of Bengal. I'm addressing this question to the people of India, not to political party leaders.
True.
Okay. If they do it, they do it. If they don't do it, they do it. But are you and me, are we going to wait only for political parties to take it and we don't do anything at all? Is that what we are saying? Is that what we as citizens should reconcile to? And should we outsource our fight for democracy to political parties and wait for them?
True. Yeah, I mean, those are deeper questions which I'm sure the people should be asking questions.
The local election, again, let's be agnostic about winner and loser for a while.
Yeah.
When you have prevented 28 lakh voters from casting their votes without even pronouncing them as ineligible, does that not vitiate the entire election process?
Yeah.
Does that not tell you that this is not a legitimate election? Do you have to really wait for the polling to happen, and polling to happen in this way? If you have not woken up at that stage, at least now we should wake up and ask questions. In 39 seconds, how was it possible to cast a vote? In 50 seconds, how was it possible to cast a vote? In 42 seconds, how is it possible to cast a vote? Ask the question.
True. No, so these questions now, in the capacity of the Chief Justice of India or maybe the Chief Election Commissioner, if these questions are asked, and had you been on those constitutional posts, what would you have done? Would you have countermanded the elections? Would you have cancelled the elections? Gone for a repolling?
First of all, Neelu, when 28 lakh people were denied their voting right without being pronounced as ineligible, and when they say that we give us time to appeal, when the tribunals were not able to sit and look at their papers, then the Supreme Court or anybody who is in the higher authority should say, okay, Let these cases be cleared. Until then, the elections are postponed. This is number one. When that has not happened, now when these things have come to light, then you should say, okay, pause it for a while. Let us inquire into it and decide what is right and what is wrong, whether it is possible to vote in this kind of time. Then you decide whether this is a legitimate election or not. Another thing is that SIR has happened in Bihar, and after that, 9 states and 3 union territories. Now you have experience. There are complaints, there are grievances, there's good, there's bad. And there are a lot of people disenfranchised, and when they appealed, a lot of people have been admitted, and a lot of people are left out. Now, why don't you pause and review what has happened so far in your SIR? So you don't want to review, you don't want to inquire, you want us to believe that it is possible
was saying that especially after the kind of results we've had in Bengal, and already so many 28 lakh voters weren't allowed to vote. So it's time now for the Election Commission to press a pause button, just assess what has gone wrong, and then go forward with the electoral exercise.
Have a thorough review.
Yeah,
I think the Supreme Court should do that. First of all, ascertain whether it is possible to cast a vote in 39 seconds.
Yeah,
it's the minimum you can do.
Absolutely.
Or it's easy to say that you're a cockroach, you shut up. It's very easy to say that.
Yeah. But to ask the political parties to do this, do you think that now we should stop expecting the political parties to do this? They should just, it's just that people should start doing it on their own?
See, whether political parties do it or not, shouldn't we also do it? Or should we totally outsource our questioning to them and sit at home? No. I think we should. If they also come in and do it, it's fine. It adds to the strength. But I'm not asking you not to expect it. No, we have to expect them, but please don't wait for them.
Right. No, but what would you really say after this entire process? Now, every election is becoming...
Neelu, see, this election, like other elections that I talked about, this election particularly is highly questioned. The process is questioned. The process integrity is questioned. Therefore, the outcome is questioned. There are no two opinions about this. It is a highly questionable...
What would you suggest? So what would you suggest as a solution? One, of course, is that Election Commission and the Supreme Court should stop the SIR. They should review. They should assess the process. But what beyond that?
Beyond that, I think people should start asking questions.
Right.
And if you look at the Form 20s, I'm working on the Form 20s now. You see, another interesting thing. Form 20s were not available for nearly 2 weeks. Only day before, I think it was day before afternoon, they were uploaded.
And Form 20 is, just to remind the viewers, if you can explain.
Form 20 is, how many votes were counted and retrieved from the EVMs. The number of votes counted.
No, retrieved from?
The EVM.
EVMs, right.
EVM. So how many votes exactly were counted? Those figures were kept away from us for almost 2 weeks. Why was it kept away from us?
When did you get the Form 20?
No, the day before.
Day before. Oh.
Day before. But then you but you see, once they are there, you can't really establish when they uploaded it. Unless you do a lot of, you should know what is the software. That becomes a technical thing. I'm not competent, you're not competent. But then I've been going to their site every day and I didn't find it. Only suddenly I found it. Day before, yes. So until day before they were not available. Why did you withhold them?
So that's a huge question mark. Then why were Form 20 withheld?
And there are some more interesting things about the Form 20s. They
What is
approved.
the doubt? What is the doubt in mind when the Election Commission withheld Form 20 for almost 14 or 16 days? 4th May were the results, and you're saying day before if it was uploaded, then what were they doing with the Form 20? Why were they not uploading it? Were they tampering?
That they have to tell me, because you see, once you've counted, once you announce the result, immediately they're ready, isn't it?
And they should be uploading it immediately.
Absolutely, that you're supposed to do that. Another thing is that, for all the 293 constituencies, for some constituencies, the signature, the date, and the stamp are in order. For a lot of constituencies, it's just some kind of initial without a date.
Right.
So, are they authentic? Are they not authentic? We do not know.
Whole lot of questions there.
It is such a sloppy processing of data.
Right.
Highly questionable. Neelu.
No, you raised a number of questions. And the latest one, of course, you're talking about how the Form 20 was withheld. Just to give a recap to the viewers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Form 20 was withheld for 14 to 15 days. It was uploaded only day before. So why were those forms withheld? That is question number one. Second is, what is the explanation behind that? How does it take only 39 seconds for one voter to cast his vote? In some sections, it takes 42 seconds or 52 seconds, which is humanly not possible according to your calculation, what you have explained. That is there. And then the third question, and the most important one, why is the Election Commission still going ahead with SIR after seeing that 28 lakh voters were not allowed to vote in Bengal? And so should they not stop, assess, and review the process? So those are the big questions you have raised. And in the end, would you want to say something, Parakala sir, about whatever you have felt about the Bengal elections?
I think the people should try to ask questions now. They should say, look, these many votes, or how are they possible to be polled from 7 to 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock? Because these are the two questions that needs to be answered. And why 28 lakh voters were denied their voting right, and how did you conduct the elections without declaring them ineligible? I think these questions have to be asked, and it has to be only feet on the ground, peaceful Gandhian satyagraha which can save democracy. There's nothing.
I really don't know, how things will unfold in the coming days, but you've raised a number of questions. In fact, after every election result, there are lots of questions which you always raise. Last time also you had written to the Election Commission, but they did not respond. This time you chose not to send any letter, but you are appealing to the citizens to start raising questions, start writing to the Election Commission. I hope we get the answers. That's the only hope we can look forward to. Thank you so much, and always a pleasure having you, Parakala sir, on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.